Hello, dear friends. Happy Monday. Welcome to your week. This is Carly. Thank you so much for joining me for another of these Monday videos. I decided to do something a little different. I feel like I start a lot of my videos like that, but I've been incorporating tarot cards recently, and with these energies, there's so much going on that I wanted to try doing a little mini tarot reading for several different parts and pieces to try to kind of like tease it apart and let us see what's really cooking here. Because, you know, as much as I want on these Monday videos, especially to boil it down into like a bite-sized piece, there is a lot going on in the sky right now and only more coming. So with that in mind, though, I do want to share the first tarot spread that I did. We'll just dive right in. So the first piece that I was, sorry Lola, kicked a kitty. The first piece that I was looking at is Mercury moving into Cancer, and it moves so fast when it's in between its retrogrades, like when it's just going full speed ahead, it can cover a sign in like 2 weeks, and Cancer is one of those this go round. So that's what we got going on. So by the end of this coming week, Mercury has come within only a few degrees, 6, I think, of the sun. So by the following week, when we have the Capricorn full moon, Mercury is going to be all the way up to the sun. So Cancer representing our emotions, Mercury representing our mind, our thoughts, our thinking, our listening and our speaking, communication, the back and forth. The sun, the best way I can think to like visualize that is this is the guy leading the meeting. I say, guys, the sun is technically a yang force. It's very assertive and outgoing and literally like the sun, shining your light into the world. So the sun is leading the meeting of all the other planets, and the sun is in Cancer and has been for a couple weeks now, will be for a couple more weeks. So what does the sun in Cancer want? And as Mercury approaches, what is that meeting going to be bringing about energetically? That's ultimately the question every time. And even more than what is it bringing about energetically, what do we do about that, right? Like, what is the practical takeaway piece? So I have 3 cards here, and first I'm going to show you what they are, and then I'm going to break them down. So I have these 3, and I apologize, I'm not a professional tarot guy. My setup's pretty amateur. Okay, so this first one, nope, not that one. This one is the 9 of Cups. The middle one is the 9 of Swords, and then this guy on this side is the 3 of Cups. So first, I'm going to talk about these 2. Because I was talking recently about Cancer energy and how essentially we can think about Cancer as the head of the well where our emotional energy flows. So this is important to understand that there is only one head of the well where the emotional energy flows forth from. This always reminds me back to Brene Brown's work and how she infamously has basically proven that you cannot selectively numb emotion. So when you open up to the well of your emotional energy, your Cancer energy, you will get some of the best, most blissful things you've ever experienced, like literal divinity here on earth. And you will also have basically some waking nightmares or the equivalent of that, not to laugh or diminish it at all. I mean, negative emotion is uncomfortable for a reason. And when we have an intensely emotional energy like the sun and Mercury both in Cancer coming together in Cancer, I see almost like a couple of different pieces happening where one, it feels like the intensity of what's coming through that emotional well is getting louder. So imagine if you do have a defense where you are normally like closed off to your emotions. If that energy is pushing harder against your defense, chances are more is going to get through than normal. And the other thing is that, again, I think it's very possible trying to keep track of my microphone on my blanket here. I think it's entirely possible that we could travel to new emotional territory. And, you know, the Nine of Cups is very much like blissful and radiant and abundance and blessings raining down from heaven just everywhere you look. It's so good. How can it be so good? It can be that good because it's equally represented in our ability to be with the dark and the nightmares and the regret and the things that if we could go back in time and change it, we would, but we can't. And processing that and making peace with that is part of what's coming through our emotional energy, is our healing journey, essentially. I mean, we get to feel good so often, and the better we feel, personally, I think, the easier it is to ride the waves of when we do have the hard things bubble to the surface. And really, that's maybe a good segue into this. Like, Cancer is a very nourishing, nurturing energy, very close-knit and wanting to love and wanting to be loved. And I've been pulling this card a lot lately as I have been myself stepping more into conscious friendship, wanting to connect with like-hearted beings, you know, as scary as that can be. And as many times in the past that I've tried and had challenges or struggles or whatever in the face of friendships, even with all of that, I still want it. And at a certain point, really, you do have to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? And if you want community bad enough, you will find your way to community. But know that the first step of entering into a community is allowing yourself to be seen, allowing yourself to be embraced. People can't accept you, embrace you, celebrate you if they don't know you. So allowing yourself to put yourself out there, again, going back to Brené Brown's work, another quote of hers that I absolutely love is, not everybody has earned the right to hear your story, right? Like, we don't owe our story to anybody. We don't owe our light or our heart to anybody. It's ours, and we get to protect it and keep it in the space where we want. And so it's not about just dropping the veil and putting your most private self out there for all the world to see. It's about finding the one or maybe two other people on this planet who feel safe enough to show it to. And maybe it really is only one other person. Or maybe you got two standing side by side with you. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot for it to be incredibly healing, to allow yourself to be seen. So in this time, the few weeks of Cancer season that we have left, as we have, really intense good feeling things coming to the surface, and we have really intense bad feeling things coming to the surface, we can surf all of that. We can use the tools that we have in our toolbox, and we can count our blessings. That's a huge piece of what this card is all about, is like, so often we're waiting for blessings to rain down on us from heaven. But when you really look around your life, like, how many blessings could you count from where you're sitting right now? And, depending on how often you do it, maybe you can count more than if you haven't done it very often. But that's definitely something to think about, especially in the face of making peace with the past. Because in my experience, that's really the easiest way to make peace with the past, is to figure out why what you went through is a blessing. Maybe there were hard things, there were pieces where I didn't know if I would make it through, but it gave me this, and it gave me this, and I'm going to let the rest go because I got these two things out of it, and I'm going to take that wisdom forward with me for the rest of eternity. Okay, so the next bit of energy that is really moving this week is Mars is leaving its home sign of Aries, and it is moving into Taurus. And Mars, as a planet, it spends about a month and a half per sign. So we have about 6 weeks of this transit. So it moves quite a bit more slowly. However, it is very, very impactful because Uranus is already in Taurus, has been since 2018, and the North Node is coming together with Uranus. They're just a few degrees apart at this point, and the North Node has been in Taurus since the beginning of this year, 2022. So as Mars over these next few weeks is making its way into the later degrees of Taurus, it's going to come together with Uranus and the North Node. They basically make a triple conjunction. They line up all at the same time, seems divinely intentional. And the way I heard it described the other day, the person didn't know they were describing it, but this is exactly the vibe they're talking about. They were like, it feels like I'm getting shot out of a cannon. It feels like energetically like I'm being loaded into a cannon and I'm just gonna woo, like, there you go. That's exactly what this energy signature feels like, is anybody's guess. The North Node is our collective destiny, our collective consciousness evolving into the future. Uranus wants each and every one of us to be our deepest, most individual, authentic selves. And Mars is our action, our body, our willingness and ability to fight on behalf of what we care about / want to protect. Especially in Taurus, it takes a lot to make Mars want to fight when it's in Taurus, but if you threaten something that is deeply valuable and personal to the individual, like, the fighting will happen and most likely you will lose. So this is a big transit, and it's even bigger because Mars, like I said, is going to spend about 6 weeks in Taurus. And then after that, Mars moves into Gemini. And that is when Mars will be stationing for one of its more rare retrogrades. So like Mercury, for example, goes retrograde 3 or 4 times a year. So it feels like every time we turn around, Mercury's going retrograde. Mars only goes retrograde once every year to year and a half. Let me double check that. I'm going to fix that on the screen because I have a feeling I might have just pulled it out of my ass. But anyway, so on the screen-ish, here's how often Mars goes retrograde. So it's definitely more rare than some of the other planets. And because of that retrograde, as a planet goes retrograde in general, not just Mars, it slows down at the end because it's coming to a stop. Same as when you approach a stop sign, you don't just stop in the last 5 seconds, you come to a gradual stop. And then same when you take off from the stop sign, or if you're gonna like put your car into reverse and then back up from the stop sign. So that's what a retrograde is it's backing up. And so again, when you begin backing up, you're going really slowly, and then you go a little bit faster towards the middle of retrograde, but then again, when you come to a stop in your reverse, you're going to slow down again. So then you're going to slow down to a stop again and then go forward. So there's so much slowness. Mars is going to spend 7 months in Gemini doing this retrograde thing. So this 6 weeks of Mars in Taurus has my full attention, especially with, like I said, the cannonball moment of the triple conjunction between Mars, Uranus, and the North Node, but also the fact that Mars is gearing up for something of an extended stay in Gemini. So not only if you have Gemini placements, mutable placements, air sign placements, all of these are going to be stimulated by that 7-month back and forth that Mars is doing in Gemini. That's going to take us into the first couple months of 2023. So this is why I am especially looking at, like, what is this pre-season of that giant Mars and Gemini transit that we have coming up the rest of this year, this pre-season of Mars and Taurus, and that's what we're asking the cards. So my tarot process is very intuitive. I do it a little different every time. I pull the cards out that feel like they want to be pulled after I've shuffled until I feel like I'm done. I don't have any kind of scientific evidence to support the way I pull cards, but I usually enjoy the results and yeah, I'm able to get something out of it energetically, even if there is no science behind, like, is this real? I don't know. Does it help me? Yeah, it does. Okay, the big reveal. I haven't even seen these yet. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, I knew it would be fun to do this part on video. Okay. All right. So again, let me show you all 3 cards and then I'll break them down. All right. So the first card is this one. It is Major Arcana 3, the Empress. She's like basically pregnant with the whole world. You have the universe inside you. You have everything that you need to give birth to everything that you desire. Beautiful card. The second card is the 3 of Cups again, and I shuffled these many times in between recording. And the last card is the Page of Cups, and if you see like in the top corner of the card with the feet, there's a pig up there with some wings, and it's like, this is the When Pigs Fly card. It's like basically the message of this card is dream bigger, because why not? So you always gotta love that. You also gotta love the fact that this is in there again. That doesn't entirely surprise me, because again, Taurus is also another like really nourishing, nurturing sign that understands what it takes to sustain something over the long term. And honestly, the value of community, the value of your soul tribe, and having soul sisters and brothers, soul friends that you can turn to in moments of I have something that I want to celebrate. That's really the best. But also to have somebody to turn to when you say, I am spinning in my world right now. Can I outline like all the pieces that I got floating in my brain? And can you please give me an outsider's perspective to see if it'll jiggle loose any clarity for me? Having people that you trust to be able to turn to in times like that, I mean, you can't put a dollar value on it. I don't know. I'm sure there's studies out there, like sociological studies, that measure the impact, like the actual longevity or life expectancy impact of like those humans who have a sense of community and those who don't. But for me personally, I'm a loner. I'm a spend 99% of my time by myself kind of guy, and I still absolutely need my community. So that feels very timely with like this Taurus Cancer energy of recognizing that, well, and I'm just being reminded, Jupiter, I listened to this channel called let's see, what was it, like Human Design with Denise Mathew, HT with Denise Mathew, I think is what she calls it. I'll put it in the description box. She does a lot of fun transit readings, but through human design gates instead of talking about the astrology and the planets, or the astrology, the signs, I guess I should say, because the planets are the same. So like she posted yesterday or this morning that Jupiter entered a different line of gate 17 where it's currently transiting, which is in Aries. It's like a different way of saying that same thing. But when it's in that line, the tagline of that spot on the zodiac wheel is "No man is an island." No man. Even that energy, like, one, it's true. I mean, I think any of us could probably attest to that. But the fact that that exists inside Aries, and this is part of what's cooking underneath all of this, is that Jupiter in Aries, like, we are being called into the forefront and beyond of like, where have we been in our soul's territory before? Like being called to call on our courage and step forward in a more deliberate, more intentional way than ever before. And the energy that it's getting up to right before Jupiter's going to turn retrograde here pretty soon is no man is an island. No woman is an island. No human is an island. And again, it's like, that is where our sense of community comes in handy, you know? And if that's something that you're wanting or, you know, looking to build up to be stronger in your life, definitely check out the description box below for the couple different community spaces that I offer. I am here opening my heart to those who want to join me. So by all means, check those out. The last card, though, the Empress, like this again has that Jupiter and Aries vibe a little bit, even though I know we're drawing it for that Taurus pop, the cannonball launch moment that we're all anticipating. But yeah, like in general, I feel very much like we are each individually pregnant with our vision for the future. And in that same way of a pregnancy where there is a certain gestation period that has to play out before you're ever going to actually be able to give birth to the literal thing, the baby, the business, the creative project, whatever it is. And I do think that this Taurus and Cancer energy that we have connected, both through their opening sextile on tomorrow, July 5th, as they both enter at 0 degrees of Cancer and Taurus, they'll be in that perfect sextile. But already we have a sextile between the Sun moving into the late degrees of Cancer and Uranus and the North Node sitting in the middle of Taurus. So that's also already making a sextile. So all of this like very nourishing, nurturing energy of fertility. I feel like I've said that word so many times lately. Never in my life. Fertility, like the air is fertile, the soil is fertile, like it is a time for literally having a dream, making the dream bigger on purpose because why not, and then fully expecting that you are going to give birth to the thing that you are dreaming about. And as you take that ride, as you weather the storm, as you ride the cool waves and you get beat to hell when you fall off your surfboard, your soul sisters, your soul brothers, your soul friends, they are there for you to witness you through that process of becoming. And last but not least, I feel like I've thrown a lot at you, but I want to leave you with kind of like a timeless, serving the highest good of all type card. And I drew the Ace of Pentacles, which I do feel like is serving this purpose as it represents the beginning of a new venture or task, new ideas, potential for success, manifesting power, ambitions, and prosperity. This ace is a powerhouse. I'm reading for the light seers, by the way. This ace is a powerhouse of possibility and reveals the materialization of earthly ambitions and all the wonderful things. I love how it mentions the earthly ambitions because we have a ton of Taurus energy at play. Seed your future by planting your very first intentions. Things feel so exciting, raw, and possible, don't they? Hold on to those feelings of optimism and success for the new start that you are welcoming to your life right now. Your ace initiates a timeline where your future wealth, health, and material abundance are ushered in. By figuring out your soil conditions, your watering schedule, and the needs of this unique seed, you will be able to see it through to fruition. I plant my goals with intention, direct focus, and faith. I love that last part of I plant my goals with intention, direct focus, and faith, and how each and every piece of that, intention, focus, and faith, are all required. You do have, like, you can't just work hard and like have it all work out for you. You do have to have faith that it will work out for you. You have to have faith that you can tackle the adversity that comes your way. You do have to have an intention that's deeper than surface level, like I need to make some money, you know, like that's pretty hollow as far as motivating you and consoling you through the hard times. And focus, right? Like if we just constantly dream about it and fantasize about it versus like focusing in the here and now to see what we can do to make it a reality, then it makes sense that it doesn't materialize in the here and now. So again, as we go back to this Taurus energy and the Capricorn full moon, which I'll talk more about next Monday, this is a very fertile ground. This is a very fertile time. And I love how it says, by figuring out your soil conditions, your watering schedule, and the needs of this unique seed, you will be able to see it through to fruition. That is essentially what I am offering in my program that is starting on July 17th, the Soul Revelation and Spiritual Business Program. The enrollment is still open if you would like to join us for expanding your community while working on your self-development, while figuring out your unique watering conditions, how your energy is wired, the unique needs of the seed that is you. If you plant yourself in an environment, are you going to thrive? How do you know if you will? Well, we can learn a lot by studying your energy, by having some of these conversations around not just how to make sure that your journey never faces any challenges, because that seems like a really silly goal to me personally, but more like, okay, so since we know you're gonna face challenges, since we know you're gonna have moments where you feel like you're overwhelmed or not qualified, or you don't know what to do, you don't know what decision to make, because we know that there are going to be moments like that, what tools can we practice? How can we train ourselves? Like, I heard a phrase this morning that is new to me, but I definitely built this myself. It's called learned optimism. And that is very literally the ability to be optimistic on purpose, because you recognize the better outcomes you get when your brain is in an optimistic place versus a pessimistic place. So cultivating optimism, learning optimism is one example that can help not necessarily prevent challenges from arising on your path, but much like your immune system in your body, a cultivated optimistic mindset, learned optimism, can protect from adversity in the very short term. It can mean staying resilient through a challenge and seeing the stressful situation as a challenge instead of as a threat. If you are, low energy, low gas tank, and then you encounter adversity, it's so much easier to quit. It's so much easier to just give up. And that's everybody's right. It's everybody's choice. Nobody's going to stop you. But if you can train your brain, if you can give yourself the tools in your toolbox to be able to withstand adversity for long enough, if your resilience is strong enough to last long enough in the face of unknown and uncertainty and uncomfortable emotions, then maybe you can guide your response, you can guide the outcome, you can guide the situation to something that may be the best possible step forward for the bigger picture, and not just the easiest and fastest way to get out of discomfort. So if you're interested in exploring that program, there is a link down below. Enrollment will be open clear up until the morning of July 17th, but the early bird price will be over July 14th. So that's next Thursday. So make sure, if you do want to take advantage of that discount, the early bird price is $177. After July 14th, it'll jump to $222. And then we will get started on the 17th, where we'll meet every other Sunday through the end of the year. Again, to cultivate the community, but also to add some tools to our toolbox to be able to create that space in our lives where we are able to meet adversity and not crumble under the weight of it, but rise to the challenge of it. Thank you so much for joining me for another of these Monday videos. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like on the video, a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All of these things really boost my work on the YouTube algorithm, and I appreciate it so much. Until next time, dear friends, you take such good care of yourselves, and so will I.